I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people with this, but hey, liberal hive mind, do your thing.
All right, folks, so take a look at this. This is from the Institute of Family Studies, released on November 30th, 2023. After a decade of surging adolescent mental health problems and suicide, the nation's leading public health authorities have declared an emergency. Unfortunately, the solutions proposed by organizations like the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics, such as increased funding for diagnosis and psychiatric services, do not meet the challenge and ignore what are likely the most important causes. Adolescent biology has not changed. So essentially, more funding, more diagnostics, and more psychiatry isn't solving the problem. What a surprise. You mean just like social services in Democrat cities targeting homelessness and substance abuse, just like how those programs aren't helping reduce the problem, but rather making it worse. Not exactly surprising, but let's continue. My colleagues and I at Gallup launched a study this summer to understand causes. We surveyed 6,643 parents, including 2,956 who live with an adolescent, and we surveyed an additional 1,580 of those adolescents. We asked about mental health, visits to doctors, parenting practices, family relationships, activities, personality traits, attitudes towards marriage, and other topics, including excessive social media use, as discussed in prior work. I present the results in a new Institute for Family Studies and Gallup research brief. The findings are clear. The most important factor in mental health of adolescent children is the quality of relationship with their caregivers. This in turn is strongly related to parenting practices, with the best results coming from warm, responsive, and rule-bound, disciplined parenting. The data also reveal the characteristics of parenting who engage in best practices and enjoy the highest quality relationships.
I mean, it's very simple. Why teach people to not wound themselves if you can always put a band-aid forever? Infrastructure, money everywhere, taxing people. Hey, why not? You're giving people a job while the other is sick forever. Amen. I still remember the time when my psychiatrist told me, how do you feel? No, 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 no. How do you feel? No, 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 no. How do you feel? No, 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 no. I created a story so good I believed it myself. I'm Batman. I'm like, wow.
When it comes to the quality of parenting practices and the quality of child-parent relationships, there is no variation by socioeconomic status. The results may be shocking to many highly educated Americans who are taught to believe that socioeconomic status dictates everything good in life. Income doesn't buy better parenting, and more highly educated parents do not score better either. Parenting style and relationship quality also do not meaningfully vary by race and ethnicity within our U.S. sample. These results are not unique to the Gallup sample. In 1998 and 1997, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics collected summary data on adolescent parent-child relationships. My analysis of these data shows that parental income, wealth, race, and ethnicity don't bear any relationship with the parenting measures predictive of long-term well-being of children. Education explained less than 1% of the variation. If we take a look here at parenting style by parental characteristics, percent of parents with above average scores of warm, disciplined parenting. Political ideology, very conservative, moderate, liberal, very liberal. The data speaks for itself. There's little conclusion written here. Some parental characteristics do matter. Political ideology is one of the strongest predictors. Conservative and very conservative parents are the most likely to adopt parenting practices associated with adolescent mental health. They are most likely to effectively discipline their children while also displaying affection and responding to their needs.
I'll still remember what my father told me when I was about to go study. He told me, never make a baby. If you do, I will stop paying for your school. You will be a man and you will take care of the baby. And if you don't, remember, the woman will destroy your life because you couldn't control yourself. There are consequences, and I ain't funding a person that is stupid. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of gangster. And then with time, when I was controlling myself and I see everybody having fun, I hear, wah, 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 wah. In my head, I was like, right. My father was right.
Liberal parents score the lowest, even worse than very liberal parents, largely because they are the least likely to successfully discipline their children. By contrast, conservative parents enjoy higher quality relationships with their children, characterized by fewer arguments, more warmth, and a stronger bond, according to parents and child reporting. What does that tell you?
And before you tell me, oh, you want to go pow, 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 pow on your kids? No, I didn't say that. It's warm discipline. You teach them consequence, something that most kids don't even see because they don't even understand two people disagree come to a middle ground because they never see it. And a bunch of time people are trying to educate me about something that they never had in their life. What? You didn't show your kids this stuff? Well, if you block them, they will find a way. I'm like, how can they find a way? You keep telling me you never had a normal conversation with your mother until you were 17 because you never are in a conversation. And now you're going to educate me when I've seen a bunch of people that have normal conversation with parents that want to be involved in their lives, and then you're like, oh.
Give me that back now. Give it.
Oh.
You know what that tells me? It tells me that pretty much everything that I believe when it comes to parenting, when it comes to values, traditions, standards, it tells me that I'm onto something. It tells me that I'm doing or thinking something right. It's presented in the data. You know, liberals want to live in this la-di-da, naive world where you can be a hedonist, you can be selfish, you can be lazy, you can do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be judged over your decisions. There's no standards. Don't be judgmental in this household. We accept everything. Obviously, that's a completely disastrous approach to parenting. It's a completely disastrous approach to literally anything in life. Could you imagine running your business that way? Oh, well, Keith's 30 minutes late again. The cash register was empty and I had to step in and do 2 jobs at once.
And when you say, why are you late? Hey, you're racist. I'm like, why? And all you have to do is open your third eye and just accept conservatives are just better. You know why? We discipline our kid. We are consistent with our kid. And sure, you're going to find a few and you're going to be like, oh, you believe in God. I'm like, just because you're conservative, it doesn't mean you believe in a God. It just means you value family in a totally different way. And to have that beautiful family that keeps smiling, you need to invest instead of receiving consistently. And in the other side, it's all about me, 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 me. And then you're surprised nobody wants to be around you. The only thing for me that is important is how I represent my family and what I give into my family. And if I don't get it back, at least I can say I tried my best. Right?
Pound town.
Oh, well, that's just Keith. I don't want to be too judgmental. Maybe he grew up in less socioeconomic privilege than I did, and so I'm not going to scold him for it. Yeah, that's not how you would run a business. Then why would you run your family that way? Why would you run society that way and government that way? It makes no freaking sense. You know, leftist ideology is broken. It is a broken ideology. It's an ideology that shifts blame to some other entity at every point. Young women should practice safe sex. Young women, in my view, should not be promiscuous. They should protect the sanctity of their body. They should have respect for themselves, respect for their families, respect for their partners, find a good loving man, and build a beautiful life and beautiful family. That's what young women should be doing. But if you tell them that, you're a bigot. If you say that, hey, we probably shouldn't be using abortion as emergency contraception, we should apply standards and discipline to the way that we move in the society. If you tell them that, apparently you're a bigot. But how does that make any sense? It simply doesn't. The conservative view is the right one. The conservative view is the one grounded in values. It's the one grounded in personal responsibility. It's the one grounded in building a flourishing society from the core element of what makes a civilized society, the family. Whereas liberals, I mean, they've let go. They don't care anymore. Open relationships, divorce, live and let live. The kid runs the frickin' house. Oh, what's that, little Timmy? You want to mutilate your body because you saw a TikTok video? Well, who am I to question that?
Story time. My wife has a friend that keeps telling her, leave the kid with your husband, leave the kid with your husband, leave the kid with your husband. My wife just looked at her one time like, I want to be with my kid and my husband. You can do it later. No, it's my family. I want to spend it with them. I want to see my son play the battery for the first time, but you can do it later. No! She was like, I don't understand why they can just leave me alone. I build something beautiful. I don't need entertainment on the outside. And just because you're divorced and you always push the kid away so you can have your free time.
Shut the fuck up for good now, huh? Yeah, you want that?
I am a parent. I'm not a friend. I'm not a caregiver. I'm not the cool uncle or grandpa or grandma.
All liberal parents want to do is avoid challenge, is avoid what it is to be a parent. avoid the conflict, and simply just grant agency to the child as it wishes. And we're surprised that these children are pleasure-seeking, self-interested, focused in everything that's hedonistic and superficial. These kids have no discipline. They have no guidance. They have no warm, loving, disciplined guidance. That's what it is. Judgment is not evil. It's not to tear people down. It's to hold people accountable.
And my wife had to, hey, I didn't mean to offend you. And she tried again. Well, you could just leave him for a few hours. She was like, no, I want to see my son play the battery for the first time. People, as a person surrounded by people with kids, consistently, trust me, conservative people are better, that believe in God or not. And you might see a few bad examples. I agree with you. Just because you see a bad example, that doesn't mean you need to go the other way. You can just be better. Either it's Christian, either it's atheist or whatever. Be better.
She's out cold. Oh no. Is she?
Dead? Not yet.
Stop looking at bad example and be a reflection of that bad example to justify the person that you are. I don't want to be that, because if I hate the person too much and adapt my life to show that I hate them too much, I'm not reflecting myself. I'm reflecting that person. And when I tell people what I do for my family, you know what they say? That's slavery.